I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Johnson puts it down. There's the kick. The 58-yard field goal it hits the crossbar and is no good. It hit the crossbar and came back. The field goal is no good. And the Jags take over. It'll take a knee one time.
Oh, what a difference a year makes. 365 little days. That was Frank Frangie, Jaguars Radio, on November the 26th, 2023. The Jaguars beat the Houston Texans 1 year ago today to go to 8-3 on the year. And since that moment, since that call on Jaguars Radio, the Jaguars have lost 14 out of 17. They are 2-9 this year and are arguably the worst team in the National Football League. 365 days, 1 year ago today, they beat the Texans, were number one in the AFC for a few hours, and here we are. 365 days later, probably the worst team in the National Football League. Life comes at you pretty quick, ladies and gentlemen. There is absolutely no question about that. But with that, a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us as we will dive into the last calendar year with the Jaguars. What exactly has gone wrong? I want to talk about Doug Peterson. We're also going to spend a lot of time on Florida and Florida State tonight, Saturday over in Tallahassee. Guest lineup looks like this. Coming up in less than 20 minutes, Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every week here on Hacker After Dark. Of course, Cecil is also a former Houston Texan. So we will preview the Jaguars and the Texans with my buddy Cecil Shorts. That comes up in less than 20 minutes. We'll also catch up with the truth teller, Rick Ballou, to talk about Florida State as the Seminoles head into this ball game with the Gators on Saturday over there at Doak Campbell Stadium. So we're loaded until 10 o'clock. College football playoff rankings are set to be released any moment. Once they are, we will fill you in, give you all the information as we head into the final week of the college football regular season. And then, of course, Championship Sunday awaits a week from Saturday. But as we always do, to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we do start it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal? No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
You know, I want to lump the two together, right? We just played Frank Frangie, Jaguars Radio, from 365 days ago. The Jaguars won a game in Houston to get to 8-3. All was right with the world. And who would have ever thought, who in their wildest, most horrible football nightmare would have ever thought from that moment 1 year ago today in Houston to where we are now, the Jaguars would be losers of 14 out of 17. The Jaguars would be in the conversation for the worst team in the National Football League. And the Jaguars would be in one of the driver's seats, one of the prime spots to have once again the number one pick in the NFL draft. An amazing turn of events. Amazing. In regards to Doug Peterson, most of us, heck, probably all of us, media, fans, the collective we, expect it to only be a matter of time before there is a new man in charge here in Jacksonville. A new man that'll be the head coach, whether that's from the college ranks, a coordinator, a guy with numerous Super Bowl rings on his finger, whoever it may be. We all expect it to be somebody other than Doug Peterson. But for argument's sake, stay with me here for one moment. You know, things tend to happen in threes, right? Isn't that the old saying? One thing goes bad, another thing goes bad, you're just waiting for the third thing to go bad. Or if you want to do the reverse of that, something positive happens, something else positive happens, well, then you always wait for that third thing to happen. Things happen in threes, in trios. All right, with that as a backdrop, let's go down memory lane here. Go back to the end of the 2021 season with the Florida State Seminoles. Mike Norvell was a goner, man. Florida State, you were done with Mike Norvell. Done. But the word was you couldn't justify firing him only 2 years after Willie Taggart. You were going to let him coach 2022, and then if it went bad then, as many anticipated, then he would have been easier to get thrown out the door. Problem with that logic was that Mike Norvell won 10 games in 2022, and then he won 13 games in 2023. He's obviously come drastically back to the pack this year, but Mike Norvell was done in the eyes of Florida State fans, and yet he survived. That's one. All right, number two, Billy Napier, University of Florida. 8 weeks ago, he was toast. He wasn't going to recover from that, respond from that. Are you kidding? Blowout home losses to Miami and Texas A&M. Getting embarrassed at the Swamp and national TV after not going to a bowl game last year. Lane Kiffin, come on down. Eli Drinkowitz, come on down. It was only a matter of time before Billy Napier was shown the door, was out of there. Funny thing was, he then all of a sudden started winning some games. And now he's won 2 big games. He's not going anywhere, at least for the time being. He's back. Mike Norvell was 1. Billy Napier was 2. Area coaches that saved their job when all hope was seemingly lost. So if things do happen in threes, as the saying goes, we've already had 1 with Norvell, right? You've already had 2 with Napier. Could Doug Peterson be number 3? Plausible. Could happen. Do I expect it to happen? No. But Florida State fans, how many of you expected Mike Norvell to survive 2022? Not many of you. Florida fans, how many of you expected Billy Napier to still be here, much less have a job at Florida in 2025? I would say none of you did. As bad as it looks for Doug Peterson now, and it does look bad, admittedly, it looks very bad. It also looked bad for Norvell and Napier, and they survived. Why can't Doug do the same thing? I think my one difference with that is I somewhat question if he wants to survive. I think it was clear Norvell and Napier were willing to make the changes that they needed to make in some capacity. I'm not so sure if Doug's doing that or has a willingness to do that. That would be the difference. But there is no doubt, make absolutely no mistake about it, very similar situations. Norvell and Napier both got through it. Can Doug get through it? Does he want to get through it? I think we'll start finding out on Sunday against Houston. I know it seems far-fetched, man. I know it seems like, are you kidding? Why on earth would you want Doug Peterson here? Well, again, Gator fan, you could have said the same thing about Billy Napier 8 weeks ago. Florida State fan, you obviously could have said the same thing about Mike Norvell a couple of years ago. Things seem to change very quickly if you do the right things in order to make that change. Like Mike Norvell did, like Billy Napier did, with the staff, with the way they do things. Again, I don't know if Doug Peterson is doing that or is willing to do that, i.e. the whole Press Taylor situation. Ryan Nielsen, right? If he didn't make any changes after 52-6, why would he make any changes in these last 6 games? It's an interesting thought, though. I've never seen a recovery like Billy Napier. I told you that last night. The Billy Napier recovery is shocking. Even more so than Norvell a couple of years ago. If Doug Peterson recovers from where he is, I don't think it would be as big as Napier's, but it would be pretty substantial. I think most of you are ready to throw Doug out the door. Can he do what Mike Norvell did? Can he do what Billy Napier did? Requires wins. Requires changing some thoughts and philosophies. We'll find out. Beginning Sunday, Houston comes in. Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear the game right here on 1010 XL. Of course, we will have the 5th quarter for you 2 hours after that game goes final. I'm curious your thoughts on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, 641-1010. Hit me up on the text line. Do you see any similarity between where Doug Peterson is now, where Billy Napier was just 8 weeks ago, and where Mike Norvell was 2+ years ago? Are there any similarities? Do you see a similar outcome, or are they completely different? And if so, tell me why. Hit me up on the text line, 641-1010. Coming up next, Jaguars and the Texans on Sunday. Let's talk to a man that has played for both organizations. My buddy Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver for both the Texans and the Jaguars. He joins me every week here on Hacker After Dark. I want to talk to Cecil about Houston. They're 7-5. They're at this point a borderline disappointment. Let's talk Texans. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's preview the game, and let's do it next with Cecil Shorts on a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
A sturdy defense keeps your end zone safe like a superior fence keeps your family and pets safe.
It's fantastic.
After the game, catch the Superior Fence and Rail Defensive Player of the Game on 1010XL.
Hacker here. I know I've been sharing my Awaken 180 story for a while now, talking about how much I lost every week, and yeah, that's cool, but I get it, redundant. So let me tell you something that hit me like a freight train the other day. I checked out my Awaken 180 weigh-in portal, and the number just clicked. I started at nearly 320 pounds, and today, my scale read just over 200 pounds. Let that sink in. I'm now lighter than 90% of my buddies. And let me tell you, that's a flex I couldn't dream of a year ago. I owe it all to my Awaken 180 coach and to the program set out to work for anyone. It's been absolutely life-changing. Don't just take my word for it. Head over to my Twitter, at RyanGreen1010XL. You'll see the transformation for yourself. But the real transformation, that's how I feel every single day, every step I take, and every morning I wake up. Get that same feeling. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Our first contestant, a stay-at-home gymnast from Jacksonville, Florida, it's Gwendolyn Pierce.
Thank you, Monty. I don't know who installed my air conditioner, but it hasn't had a tune-up in over 3 years. Am I cool?
Let's ask our expert judging panel. Judges? Oh, I'm sorry, Gwendolyn. You're not cool. Johnny, tell her why.
That's right. To keep your air conditioner performing at its best, you need a skilled technician to check your pressures, voltages, and air filters in the fall and the spring. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, our club members get 2 free visits a year to make sure that you are cool.
Can you tell me if my haircut is sexy?
You're better off not asking. Visit BuellerAir.com.
The next generation of college stars are here in Jax. Tom Hacker joined 1010XL all day Wednesday to learn where high school's top prospects will be heading.
Presented by Premier Physical Therapy and San Jose Collision on 1010XL.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
The experts at AMCO have been fixing cars for almost 60 years. Over that time, they've gotten more complex than ever. That's why our techs undergo rigorous training and certifications, so they can fix anything, including the most complicated repairs that come with some of the latest technologies. After 60 years, there's nothing we haven't seen or fixed. It's how we know cars inside and out.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and if I know anything about the dudes that listen to 1010, they've got their own list of toys that they'd like to have for Christmas. You've got some of them in your showroom.
We've got all of them. We've got the toys for them. We got the toys for the kids. We got go-karts, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, ATVs, you name it. We've got it, and we are ready for Christmas.
So you can shop for yourself and for your loved ones. It's all happening at Cycles of Jacksonville, online or on Atlantic near Regency.
Hi, Jags fans. Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too. From Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Texans, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL Radio. The Jaguars coming off a bye week. They are 2-9 as they begin their final 6 games of the year. Houston still comfortably in first place in the AFC South, but man alive, what was that on Sunday with a home loss to the awful Tennessee Titans? Let's talk about all of it with a former Jaguar and a former Houston Texan. That's former wide receiver Cecil Shorts. My buddy, former Jag Cecil Shorts, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Cecil, how are you, my friend?
RG, I'm good. It's Thanksgiving week. Excited to eat good this week. Excited to be around family, watch some football. So all is good this way, brother.
Yeah, short week for us. Appreciate you joining us on Thanksgiving week. And when the Jaguars and the Texans get together, 4 years for you here in Jacksonville. You also played for Houston, and you do some work with the Texans organization. Conflicted during this week when it's the Jaguars and the Texans?
Always conflicted. The Jaguars it's like, been there 4 years. It's like high school, it's like college. You've been there, you've grown to love the city, love the fans, love the people there. It's my first ever professional organization. So it's nothing but love for Jacksonville, always rooting for them. But at the same time, I did play for Houston for a little bit, and that organization treats me like family. From day when I walked in the building to when I retired, they treated me with the utmost respect, give me opportunities to work with the organization. So it's always tough during this game to watch, and I'm just hoping it's an awesome game. It's funny. So when I first started working for the organization with the Texans, it was this week where it was Jacksonville and versus Houston. So I'm on the field doing my different stuff, and my wife shows up on the field in Houston with a Jaguar jersey 84 on. And they're like, no, you can't be down here with that. She's like, why? This is where we started. So, yeah, our heart definitely is in Jacksonville, always rooting for.
It's funny, and I'm sure that was received very well there by the Texan crowd. No question about that. All right, I want to talk Jaguars with you, but I want to start with Houston. And Cecil, I was stunned on Sunday. I mean, that Tennessee Titan team, give them credit. They battled and they fought, but that's a bad loss, right? I mean, when Tennessee comes into Houston and beats the Texans, now Houston's still comfortably in first place, 7-5, in large part because the division is awful. But are they panicking a little bit with the Texans right now?
I think there's a lot of real questions right now. I think we talked about this a little bit last week. Are you a true contender? And I think the answer is no right now. I think you're a solid playoff team. But after the first round, even if you get by the first round, I don't know how serious of a contender you are. CJ Stroud's in the slump right now, not playing himself, had 2 turnovers. One I don't think was his fault. I think it was a miscommunication with the receiver, John Mechie. But the other one was just a bad throw. He's not himself, and I think partially that has come because of all the hits he's taken from the offensive line. That's not necessarily doing a good job protecting him. So he's kind of happy feet in the pocket, kind of seeing ghosts a little bit, making some bad decisions. When the defense has 8 sacks, golly, when they're putting pressure on them. But at the same time, defense wasn't stopping the run. Tony Pollard was averaging almost over 7 yards a carry at one point. At one point, it was 8 yards a carry. They were doing what they want. When Will Levis, the Mayo man, is at one point in the game, he was 12 or 13 for however many yards. It was just frustrating to watch. It seems like no matter who they play down to their competition. So Tennessee came in the game with a struggling record, as we know, and they play down to the competition. If Detroit comes to town, they'll play up to the competition, right? But no matter who the competition is, that offense is struggling big time right now, and they have to figure it out. There's too many downs where they're losing yards on first down. They'll get a positive gain, say it's 2nd and 6. First time they got a positive gain of 4 or 5 yards, say it's 2nd and 6, and they lose 3 or 4 yards. And sometimes it's from the play calling. Like now you're doing a double reverse, trying to look for a pass. Like what are you doing, right? Or it's just a bad execution on the offense. So they need to figure it out ASAP to truly be a contender. But I think what we see right now is an interesting Houston Texans team. Defense is not playing bad. Your kicker is one of the best in the league. He had a chance to go and tie the game from an extra point distance, shorter than extra point distance. He misses it wide left, but he just set the record in the same game for the most 50-yard field goals made in a single season in the NFL. So it's just a weird time right now in Houston. They got to be more consistent, but it really starts with that offense. Like, can you protect Stroud? If they take the run game away, because Joe Mixon is a monster, if they take the run game away, which Simmons and Sweat from the Titans did, how can you beat the other team by passing? And you wouldn't think, hey, that they would struggle with C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell and Nico Collins in the passing game, but they are. They truly are. And it starts up front with the protection.
Former Jaguar, former Texan Cecil Shorts with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Cecil, final Houston question before we get into the Jaguars. This offseason nationally, C.J. Stroud was already crowned the next big thing because of his rookie campaign. Is this a sophomore slump? Were we premature to give Stroud those accolades, or do you still feel that he is the guy people thought he was coming into the year?
I think he's still the guy. I truly do. I just think it's a true sophomore slump. If we're being honest, everybody had a year to really digest his film, to really figure out how to attack him. And then early on in the season, when you couldn't block the front against Indianapolis week 1, when you couldn't block the blitzes week 2, when you couldn't figure out week 4 against Minnesota, other teams start picking up on it. They started to really attack this offensive line, and it's affecting him. But I still think CJ's special. He still has all the attributes, the leadership. He's remained the same guy no matter what has happened this year and last year. The same guy we got last year in the media is the same guy we got this year. The same way he approaches the game last year and with success is the same way he's going to approach the game this year with success and with his defeats and failures. So he is a guy that I still think is very, very special. Just got to work through this slump and get better.
See, so I was watching the Red Zone channel on Sunday because the Jaguars were off, and I enjoyed watching a lot of other games. I don't get to do that normally because we're so busy with the Jaguars on Sunday. But one thing really stuck out to me, man, and I want to ask you, 7 years in the NFL as a wide receiver, you can speak about this better than most certainly can. I watched other offenses, and the Jaguars, their offense looks like it's in another planet. I mean, it just doesn't look like some of these other offenses. Now, I don't know if it's stale. I don't know if it's stubbornness by the offensive staff, lack of creativity, whatever verbiage you want to use. But primarily I saw like Detroit, Washington, even Arizona, although they didn't score a lot of points. They were just doing cool-looking things to get guys open and to get their quarterback on the rollouts and all these different sorts of setups. And I think about what Jacksonville does on offense, and it just doesn't look like that, Cecil.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's very basic. Not a lot of, not enough motion and shifts, in my opinion. I think when you look at the Detroit offense, when you look at even Arizona with Arizona's offense, when you look at Washington with Cliff Kingsbury, those type of offenses, they are trying to, it's quarterback friendly. They're moving guys around. They're motioning. They're setting things up. They're moving receivers in the squeeze formation, which is tighter to the tackles. They're moving their running backs around. They have the weapons, and they're helping the quarterback pre-snap to figure out what coverage they're in. They're helping the quarterback post-snap because it makes it easy throws for them, makes easy reads for them. And it's fun for the guys to play, and they're finding ways to get their guys the ball, right? They're finding ways to get their playmakers the ball. There wouldn't be many games where Amon St. Brown's not going to have his targets, right? It's not going to be many games where you look at Scary Terry McLaurin, not going to have, his targets. Not going to be many games where Jamar Gibbs or David Montgomery not going to have the ball in their hands, right? Whereas the Jacksonville offense, there's games where your best receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., is not getting the ball. 3 targets. There's games where, Tank or Travis aren't really touching the ball as much as they should. Any and every game, you should have a certain amount of touches for each guy, a certain amount of targets for your guys. That's just what it is. And when we look at those offenses, they have that. Or there's Washington, Arizona, where it's even Pittsburgh with George Pickens, right? And Najee. If you look at of course Detroit, they have ways to get their playmakers the ball. They have answers, is what the biggest thing. So when you come out, you have a game plan. And that game plan is working, boom, then the defense makes adjustments. Now, how do you make adjustments to what they adjusted to? And I think that's what's the difference between the Detroit offense, other offenses, successful offenses around the league, and then what Jacksonville has going on right now.
A couple more for former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts. And to that point, getting Brian Thomas those targets, you tend to forget things that happen right before the bye. Keep in mind, Christian Kirk is already out for the year. Gabe Davis is out for the year. So the reality of the situation is, beginning on Sunday, your wide receiver position is Brian Thomas Jr., and then with all due respect, I mean, it's Devin Duvernay, Parker Washington, Tim Jones. They'll probably promote Elijah Cooks from the practice squad. I mean, if you're a defense, you're going to get double and triple teams, I would think, on BTJ. How are the Jaguars going to get him the ball?
Well, There you go. You got to move them around. You got to find different spots. You can't just line them up outside. You got to line them up inside. You got to put them in motion, right? You got to put them in a squeeze position, make them tight to the line of scrimmage. Now the defense has to play a little off. Normally, when you get in bunches or you move guys down in the squeeze position, your corners, your safeties have to play off and play more true, right? Also, you got to use your other weapons. You still got Evan Ingram. You still got Tank. You still got Travis. Use these guys in different ways to create space for BTJ, right? Start Travis in the backfield, motion them out to the number one receiver on the left side, and then have Brian BTJ in the slot. Now you got him over a safety, right? So you got to find ways to, again, get creative to find ways to get him open. There's no reason he shouldn't have multitude of targets because he's your best receiver on the team. Even when everybody was healthy, he's still your best receiver on the team. So find ways to get him the ball, move people around, use motions, use shifts, just use different route combinations, right? A lot of switch releases if you're in bunch or stack. Just find ways to get him the ball. There should be no excuses.
Trevor Lawrence, Cecil. Doug Peterson said yesterday they're going to assess the situation. I'm not sure what they've been doing for the last week and a half that they've been on the bye, but they still didn't have an answer as to whether Trevor was going to play. He did throw a little bit at practice yesterday that was viewed by the media. Are we getting to the point where if Trevor doesn't go on Sunday, do you need to start asking questions about that?
I think no matter what, I would start asking questions. I think what's happening right now, in my opinion, if he doesn't play again, well, is it that serious? He needs to be going to IR. You know what I mean? If he can't play, to me, your best option to win is with Trevor in the game. That's just what it is. We saw him at the last two games. The best option to win is with Trevor in the game. So if he can't go, is this a serious enough injury where you got to be on IR? Is this a serious enough injury where he'll be out for the season? Is it worth even fighting for the rest of the season if it's something that can be worse, right? Because a lot of injuries in the league. If it can't get worse, you'll see guys go out there and play. All right, it's not going to get any worse. Just go out there and play. Okay, cool. But if it can get worse, then why not just put him on IR? Let him not play for the rest of the season. But again, I don't know how detriment that would be to the rest of the team, right? I'm not sure how much the team really has hope right now. I'm not sure how much they enjoy playing right now. Of course, they're going to go out there and play hard. That's never a thing I haven't seen this season. But when it comes to guys having hope in each and every game and kind of trying to finish the last 5, 6, 7 games the best they can, it's going to be hard if you don't got Trevor Lawrence in the game. So I would raise questions right now. I wouldn't wait till they don't play. I'll raise questions right now. Why? What is the injury? How serious it is? Can it get worse? Is he going to be on IR? Why hasn't he been on IR? Is he even worth playing the rest of the season? Just all these thoughts and questions I would start right now because it's like, hey, especially if you're really fighting for your coaching job, for your GM job, you will want the best guys out there automatically, right? So it's definitely an interesting situation we need to watch.
Final moments with Cecil Shorts. Cecil, the last time the Jaguars played, it was 52-6. They will have had 2 weeks to think about that with the bye week in the middle. I would bet we're going to know pretty quick on Sunday in that first quarter against a good Houston team if Jacksonville is interested in being there, correct? I mean, we're going to know if there's fight pretty quick in that first quarter.
You'll see it early. You'll see it early. But again, like Houston's not a very consistent team when it comes to playing. So you never know if they cough up a turnover or they, don't come out ready to play and kind of lay down. It might give Jacksonville some hope. But I think I agree. I think you'll know early on how they're playing, their attitude towards the game, if they're into it. You'll see it pretty early because it's hard to come back from 52-6. Like now it's about just simply manning up and playing the best you can play, right? Playing the best you can play versus a team that almost beat Detroit a couple weeks ago. This is a division game, though. I'm expecting it to be hard fought. It should be a tough game, similar to how the Tennessee and Houston game was. It should be a hard fought game because they know each other. They already played each other they know each other pretty well. So I expect this game to be hard fought.
Final question, and this will only happen if Houston comes in here and loses, which, by the way, I don't expect that to happen. I think the Texans are going to win the game. But in 2021, Indianapolis just broke down during the stretch run and lost the division and missed the playoffs. In 2022, we know what happened with the Titans collapsing, and the Jaguars took advantage of that. In 2023, last year, the Jaguars collapsed, and Houston took advantage of that. If Houston loses this game to Jacksonville, And if Indy were to win, again, it requires Indy winning, which might be a tough, in and of itself. That noise is going to get big, right? The AFC South has seen some epic collapses the last few years, and if Houston loses this game on Sunday, that noise out there in Houston's going to amplify, is it not?
It's going to amplify tremendously because you got to look at the schedule too. So if you lose Sunday, if you're Houston, you go on a bye week, then the Dolphins come to town, then you go to Kansas City, and then 4 days later you play Baltimore on Christmas. So that potentially could be if you don't handle business, you might not win another game. Who knows what's happening in the division with the Colts, with the Titans, and whoever else, right? So this is a must win for Houston. They have to stay on schedule within the division. They have to stay on schedule within their overall record to have a chance and not have that collapse, because this is a tough December schedule coming after this bye week. So this is a must win going into the bye week for the Houston Texans.
Former Jaguar, former Texan, Cecil Shorts, always kind enough to join us every week here on 1010XL. Cecil, a very happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Have a great weekend, and we'll do it again next week, pal.
Sounds good, brother. You too.
Duval. That's right, I'm Tommy Mack, and it's all about Duval and defense. Offense, special teams, baby. Check me out every Friday from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally here. Beaver's annual Black Friday silent sale. Every car on the lot will be discounted so low, we can't even show the prices on TV. Doors open at 6 a.m. Friday. First come, first served. And once they're gone, it's over. Plus, anyone who buys between 6 and 9 a.m. will get a big screen TV and $1,000 cash. Want more? We're giving away free oil changes between 6 and 9 a.m. The Black Friday silent sale only at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet. You don't want to miss this.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Get fishing tips and stories from Captain Kevin.
Bite's gonna pick up pretty soon.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Whoa! Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the
day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores.
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJacks.com.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
RJ Saunders here, sports lovers. I recently took a tip from Frank Frangie when I needed to send flowers to my mother. Frank told me that Kuhn Flowers is the only florist he ever uses. So that's what I do now. I use Kuhn Flowers. Find them online at kuhnflowers.com.
Tailgate special alert. 3 pounds of marinated chicken, 2 pounds of marinated steak tips, 2 pounds of fresh ground beef, and 2 pounds of homemade sausage for only $80 to feed your crew.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This just in on Hacker After Dark.
All right, college football playoff rankings have been released. They were about 30 minutes late due to basketball, which people really enjoyed waiting for the rankings to be released. Your top 4 seeds, meaning the 4 teams that would get byes if the playoffs started tomorrow. You got Oregon 1, Texas 2, Miami 3, and Boise State 4. That's the same as last week. Boise, again, would get a bye as being one of the top 4 highest-ranked conference champions. Your first round games, Arizona State would be in as the Big 12 champion, but they would be on the road as the 12 seed going to Columbus, Ohio to play Ohio State, which probably would not work out well for the Sun Devils. So they need to try to get ahead of Boise State to avoid that. But as it stands right now, Arizona State at Ohio State, the winner would play Boise State in the quarters. Your 8-9 game would be Tennessee traveling to Georgia. Whoa. Tennessee at Georgia in the 8-9 game. The winner of that game would play Oregon in the quarters. Your 11-6 game would be a Big Ten battle, Indiana at Penn State. The winner of Indiana at Penn State would play Miami. And then finally, the 10-7 game would be SMU at Notre Dame. The winner of that game would play Texas. So I think if there's anything we learned here is Clemson is the first team out currently. They're the unlucky loser right now. Alabama is the second team out. Win and in scenarios, it appears, Notre Dame is a win and in scenario. Indiana is a win and in scenario. I would think Tennessee winning in over Vanderbilt is what you're probably looking at there. Miami is interesting because even though Miami would have a bye right now, they haven't even clinched their spot in the ACC championship game yet, I don't believe. They have to beat Syracuse in order to do that. So Miami's still a very important game for them. Miami probably has to win out. They probably can't lose again. They have to beat Syracuse and they have to beat SMU. If Miami loses one of these games, they're probably not getting in. So they still have a lot of work to do. But interesting that Boise State would still get a bye into the quarters. And again, your first round matchups, the way it stands right now: Arizona State at Ohio State, Tennessee at Georgia, Indiana at Penn State, SMU at Notre Dame. I still wonder what happens with Georgia, because Georgia plays Georgia Tech, assuming they beat Georgia Tech on Friday night, and that is a Friday night game. Then Georgia goes to the SEC championship game. The committee hasn't really said definitively that that's not going to penalize teams. I know commissioners have angled for that, to not have the conference championship penalize you. But what's really interesting is if Georgia goes to the conference championship game and loses to Texas, let's say, and that gives Georgia their third loss, well, Alabama also has 3 losses, and Alabama has a head-to-head victory over Georgia. Would that matter at the end of the day? I don't know. Again, that's a puzzling one to me. We'll see what happens. But the college football playoff rankings have been released. And again, your top 4 teams, the 4 teams that would get by is Oregon, Texas, Miami, and Boise State. Big one in Tallahassee on Saturday night, the Gators and the Seminoles at Doak Campbell Stadium. As we do from time to time here on Hacker After Dark, let's talk a little Florida State with the Truth Teller.
Now, the Seminole Point of View with Rick Ballou. Brought to you by Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Dream it, drive it.
The 6-5 Florida Gators, the 2-9 Florida State Seminoles, Saturday night in Tallahassee. Rick Ballou with us here on Hacker After Dark. Rick, how are you, man?
Hacker, I'm outstanding. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Are you still going to eat now, or you mixing these meals? Are you going to have a big turkey dinner?
Yeah, there's a day or two where you can kind of maneuver a little bit. I've gone over it with my coach. Yes, I'm going to have a nice feed on Thursday, but then probably right back into it on Friday. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be with you in Tampa. Maybe I'll leave Saturday around 5:36, so I can miss that game. I think it's 7 o'clock coming up on Saturday night.
Maybe it's me, Rick. Growing up in Tallahassee, I lived there for the first 11 years of my life, being there for the choke at Doak, being there for 1990 and 1992. Maybe I've just been beaten over the head so much at Doak Campbell Stadium, particularly at night. Why do I think this is not going to be as easy for Florida as Florida fans believe it is?
Well, it's a rivalry, and, they got nothing to lose, so I can understand that point. Some people forget that as great as Spurrier was, he never won in Tallahassee. But, come on, we're talking about 2 totally different situations. Right there with Kansas, there hasn't been a better story in college football than what Florida has done the last couple of weeks to gather the momentum and knock off Mississippi after knocking off LSU, and now to flip all these recruits. It just feels like this thing is a well-oiled machine. They're a better team. They're a better coach team. And they're also playing really hard. And that's something that I've talked about with you, and I've really been saying all year long, is that's the most impressive part of Florida and how they were able to turn things around. That even in some games where it was one-sided, the Miami game maybe was a little squirrely early. It kind of felt like maybe they kind of tanked it there in the second half. But outside of that, this team, even in losing efforts, has really played hard. And to me, that's the biggest part of all of this, is that a team that's going to give you 100%, they're not going to allow this upset to take place. I think Florida will get out of there very comfortably with a victory in Tallahassee.
Rick, it was Charleston Southern. It is what it is, but were there any positives to take out of that game?
I thought some of the younger guys, I thought the effort was there, and that was good to see. I thought Luke Kromenhoek started very slow. He got a little bit better as the game moved on. I want to say that I like his pocket presence. And obviously that's going to be totally different. Look at all the pressures Florida had last week, or really the last 2 weeks they've had. It's incredible. So that's going to be a totally different issue for him this weekend. I'd like to see Kromenhoek be able to give it a go for the entire game and really have this be a learning lesson for him. They also ran the ball, was their best effort all year. And again, you have to take in consideration who they did play. That first quarter was pretty tight. The first 20 minutes actually were pretty tight. So no, not a lot of positives to take out of that. But if anything, I would say some of the younger freshmen getting an opportunity to play would probably be it.
A couple more for Rick Ballou, talking Florida State with us here on Hacker After Dark. Rick, call it the Super Bowl. There is no tomorrow. Whatever verbiage you want to use, I mean, that suffices for Florida State. Literally, the season ends when the clock hits, 0 in the fourth quarter on Saturday night. So everything in the playbook, to me, is probably fair game, right? If you've been keeping anything in there, fake punts, et cetera, wouldn't you throw it everything you got at the Gators on Saturday?
There's no doubt. I mean, you have to. Why not? And, no one's going to pick them to win. As a matter of fact, a lot of people think it's going to end up being a rout. So if you have anything up your sleeve, now is the time to do it. What I want out of this and what Florida State fans should want out of this more than anything is those last couple of guys. And I'm guessing there's probably a half dozen or so that are privately thinking, is this it? Am I entering the transfer portal? Do I want to come back? I want it to be both ways. For instance, Patrick Payton may be their best pro. I don't think it's going to happen this year because he's been just really, really bad, and his effort's been awful. There's a guy right there that could move on to another school, and who knows, maybe be a first-round draft pick in 2025 or 2026, a second-round draft pick. But there's a guy right there that I don't even want to return for Florida State. He's been bad for the program the entire season. So guys who fit the description of this team is what you want to see happen, and it's going to be a complete rebuild. They're going to have to go into the transfer portal. They're going to have to bring in 20, 25 some odd players. I think they're going to have to bring in a quarterback now. And, I would fire the rest of their coaching staff, not named Patrick Surtain. They have to make so many moves immediately. And I think it also includes, Hacker, maybe even some better players on this team who haven't given the effort. If they're not fully invested and want to be a part of this thing, let them move on. Let them go to the transfer portal and go to another school. I think there'll be some surprise names that are announced that we end up seeing leaving immediately. I mean, I'm talking as early as Sunday or Monday, and that's going to be pretty interesting for me. So, yeah, I mean, this team ain't going to turn around in a year. I mean, you thinking next year, can you win 6 games? Can you win 7 games? It's not one of those deals where, they're going to battle for the Atlantic Coast Conference. So I think you need to say goodbye to those who aren't helping your club.
Rick, as we begin to wrap up, I mean, you talk about the recruiting. It's been wild the last week, right? I can't ever remember a week or two out from signing day where either Florida or Florida State took 3 guys from the other school, and that's what Florida's done. They've flipped 3 FSU guys in the last 10 days. Florida State, I mean, good grief, man. They're trying to hold on to Solomon Thomas here at Reigns. Florida's trying to flip him. I mean, from that standpoint, whether you win or not on Saturday, you got to have a good showing, right, regardless.
Yeah, and I don't feel good about that. I've heard what Thomas has said all along, and I know when Alex Atkins was fired, he wasn't happy about that. Florida State loses a 5-star yearly, it seems like, on National Letter of Intent Day. So I would fully expect that to take place. The good news for Florida State fans is anyone else on their incoming recruiting class right now isn't wanted by any of these other top programs, so you don't have to worry about losing them. But that is why this is going to be so huge, and this is all on Mike Norvell. They're 2-9. This team was 5-6. This team was 6-5. You would have lost all those players. There would have been people going after them, but it wouldn't have happened in the masses the way that it has. It's because they don't want to play for what is a losing program. And not only a losing program, but a program that has totally embarrassed itself this past year. So the rebuild, and as much as every Florida State fan wants Solomon Thomas, if he's one of those guys that's wavering, he didn't want to be there, let him go as much as it hurts. And that's what Mike Norvell has to do now with incoming freshmen. He has to find people who want to be a part of Florida State. The transfer portal's different. They're never going to be fully invested. They're going to be there to help their draft status and get paid. That's all you can expect out of transfer portal kids. But with the 18-year-old incoming freshman, I think it's important for him to find a group that's really small, because it's not going to be large in numbers, but guys who want to play at that school.
You go into the night every night with Rick Ballou here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Rick, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
Yes, sir, Hacker. Take care.
There you go. Rick Ballou with us here on Hacker After Dark. I'm telling any Gator fan that'll listen, look, I think Florida's going to win the game. I'm going to pick them to win the game, but I got a lot of my buddies, a lot of my Gator alumni, season ticket holders, diehard fans that I know. Oh, worst Florida State team I've ever seen. This will be easy. The way Billy Napier's got these guys playing. DJ Lagway this, and Caleb Banks, and Tyreek Sapp that. All right. I'm just saying, I think Florida wins, but I think it's a game in the fourth quarter. I don't think they're going to go in there and blow Florida State out. This is Florida State's Super Bowl. This will be a game that Florida State is actually interested in being there for. I'm not sure if they were interested in being there for the North Carolina game or some of these other games, but this is Florida at night in Tallahassee, their final game of the year. I think Florida is going to absolutely get the Seminoles' best shot. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll do a little NBA talk in the 9 o'clock hour. Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show. Get back into the NFL and, of course, more on the Gators and the Seminoles as we roll on a Tuesday night here on Hacker After Dark. Glad you're with us. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
In every game, there's a limited number of drives.
Oh, I'm fast. Here we go.
And there's only one drive of the game.
That's a good old-fashioned rear-end whipping.
Listen for the Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville drive of the game on 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, Thanksgiving is coming. I was just talking to Ballou about that. But see, the good folks at Awaken 180 are real people, right? I have a coach that I meet with every week, and they know about life. They know about Thanksgiving, right? Obviously. So we make a plan for it. I've talked to her. I got a plan going in, what to eat, what to avoid, how to get right back on Awaken 180 after Thanksgiving. You can enjoy life on Awaken 180. And it's really enjoyable when you've lost over 110 pounds like I have. Awaken 180 has changed my life. They've saved my life. If you need to drop weight, if it's time in your life to make that change, go to awaken180weightloss.com, awaken180weightloss.com. Guys, if I can do it, trust me, anybody can do it. You could be their next success story. Trust me. Awaken 180 weight loss.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision, and equal opportunity employer.
The last thing you want to be dealing with this holiday season is a septic emergency. Plan ahead and schedule to have your septic tank pumped out now. Our wonderful team at Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services is standing by and ready for your call. We'll get your septic tank pumped out right away, giving you one less thing you have to worry about this holiday season. Check out our reviews online and give us a ring today. 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Prosser here for Lifetime Flooring. You've heard us rave about Lifetime Enclosures. Now let's talk about Lifetime Flooring. I can tell you firsthand, the product, services, best in Jacksonville. As you know, updating your floors is one of the most dramatic changes you can make to your home. Call the experts at Lifetime Flooring now and ask about their buy one room, get one room free promotion through Christmas. 0% financing, available to meet any budget. Visit their beautiful showroom just off Phillips Highway. And as always, tell them Prosser sent you.
Make a crucial catch against colon cancer. Hicken here for the Borland Groover Foundation. If you're 45 or older, the ball is in the red zone to get screened. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. 45 is the new 50. Get screened for colon cancer now. The Borland Groover Foundation is a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
How far is it from the surface of the earth to the core of the earth?
Is your home your most valuable asset? It is for most of us. And Southern Oak Insurance recommends an annual review. Log on to southernoak.com for more information.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
From the surface to the core of the earth is about 1,800 miles and has a temperature of over 9,000 degrees, hotter than the sun.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
David Ammon here with Zero Res.
You know, Dad, I just love this time of year. It cools down, the holidays are coming on, and college football is a blast.
One of the things that I'm grateful for is our good customers. I have loved working for the good people of Jacksonville and want to say thank you.
Folks, the schedule is filling up fast. Book today and Zero Res will clean your carpets for only $49 per room. Plus, they'll give you 25% off your tile cleaning.
Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Coming up at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. We will certainly talk Florida State. But there's some other really big games, right? Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Miami, Syracuse, obviously the Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn, the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. There is a lot that needs to be figured out. Heck, Clemson, South Carolina is a huge game now. A lot that needs to be sorted out with rivalry Saturday, and we will talk about all that with Brent Beard coming up at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. Coming up next, we're over a month in to the NBA season. My buddy Trevor Lane, he is the host of the NBA Front Office Show. He joins me to talk NBA and Orlando. The Magic, even without Paolo Banchero, have won 9 out of 10, including a win in Charlotte last night. The Magic are 12-7, third place in the Eastern Conference right now, almost 20 games into the season. Let's talk NBA. Let's talk NBA tournament. Let's talk a little LeBron and the Lakers. And let's do that with Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show. That's next, Tuesday night, Hacker After Dark. Glad you're with us right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
The big stories from the weekend's big games.
They're fans of football.
That's what Postgame Monday is for.
What a game. Amazing.
Brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. I got family coming in town for Thanksgiving. Most of them have seen pictures of me or maybe a video, but they haven't seen me in person. And in some instances, over a calendar year, they're going to be stunned. Last Thanksgiving, I was 320 pounds. This Thanksgiving, I'm 205 pounds, down roughly 115 pounds. And it's all thanks to the best weight loss program I've ever been on. A life-changing program, a life-saving program. Go to awaken180weightloss.com, awaken180weightloss.com. If it's time for you to drop weight like it was for me, whether it's 100 pounds, 20 pounds, any place in between, Awaken 180 is your answer. They were my answer. I'm living proof. You could be next. If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Get down to the bank Sunday, December 1st, when the Jaguars go head-to-head with division rivals, the Houston Texans. You won't want to miss our My Cause, My Cleats game, when your favorite players get to champion causes close to their heart by wearing custom-designed cleats. Lock in your seats now for a 1 p.m. kickoff by calling 904-633-2000 or visit us online at jaguars.com/tickets. We'll see you there.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
Fight skin cancer by playing golf at the Melanoma Research Foundation Golf Tournament December 30th at Queens Harbor for a day of food and fun. To sign up, call 904-507-1401.
The 5-Star Veteran Center of Jacksonville is the place homeless veterans can go to recover, recharge, retrain, and reconnect. Learn more at 5starveterancenter.org.
If you're between ages 16 and 24, you can learn a career in construction, electrical, plumbing, or masonry with free training from the AMI Kids Florida Registered Free Apprenticeship Program. Call 576-7337.
Your love can give pets a purpose. To adopt a loving animal from the Jacksonville Humane Society, call 725-8766.
There's a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating at a local blood donation center.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Ballou here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Spend lunchtime with the ladies.
Hey, where's your sense of adventure?
They don't cook, but they serve up spicy sports talk.
Sure, it's on the menu.
Helmets and heels.
That is a meal.
Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called The Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass, and he told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm Mac with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. If I know anything about the fall, it's hunting season, it's cooler weather. People need to get off-road. What have you got to offer?
We've got the full line of Honda ATVs, the Foreman, the Rancher. We've got the side-by-sides, the Pioneers, the Talons, everything you need to get off-road.
And you can trick them out with all sorts of extras?
If you name it, you want the loud stereo, you want the cool light bar, we got it.
All right, look online, cyclesofjacksonville.com, or head to the showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us, and we are already a month plus in to the NBA season. A lot has transpired. I guess injuries are the name of the game to this point. What teams can survive them, including our neighbors to the south in Orlando. Some big injuries for the Magic, and yet the Magic are thriving right now, awaiting the return of both Wendell Carter and Paolo Banchero. With that, Trevor Lane does a great job covering the NBA. He's with the NBA Front Office Show, also Lakers Nation, and Trevor is always kind enough to take time out for us here on 1010XL. Trevor, how we doing, man?
Oh, doing well. Enjoying the NBA season so far, with the exception of the injuries. But it's been an exciting season, and appreciate you bringing me back on to talk some basketball here.
Oh, absolutely. We love it. And I want to get to the Magic in a moment, but let's talk about the injuries. I mean, Paolo Banchero and Wendell Carter in Orlando, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, Chet Holmgren. We know about all the time that Joel Embiid and Paul George have missed. The Pelicans have been just decimated with injuries. Kawhi Leonard out in L.A. before the season even started. Trevor, is there a rhyme or reason as to why we've seen so many injuries so early in the year?
I don't think so. I think it's just they've been a bit unlucky this season with injuries, but it has certainly been frustrating. I mean, even just opening night, that first night where it was, the 76ers and the Bucks, it took a lot of the shine off of that game, knowing that there was going to be no Joel Embiid, no Paul George. It's been a rough start to the season on the injury front, and the hope is that guys will start to come back. We are starting to see players come back. Kristaps Porzingis is returning tonight for the Celtics. You have DeJounte Murray back, looks like on Wednesday for the Pelicans. So we are starting to get players to return, but the injury bug has not been kind to the NBA this year, and I think it's really hurt teams given how many top-tier talent have been out so far this season.
Trevor, let's talk about Orlando. They started out 3-1. Paolo had a 50-point game. In Game 5 against Chicago, they lose a heartbreaker. But that loss doesn't even do justice to the loss they felt after that game when they found out Paolo Banchero was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with an oblique injury. And that was the first game of a road trip. They went on to lose all 5 games on that road trip. They were 3-6. And you're thinking, oh, my gosh, man, are they going to be able to survive until Banchero gets back? Wendell Carter also got hurt on that road trip. And all they've done is go from 3-6 to where we sit right now, 11-7, winners of 8 out of their last 9. Franz Wagner has played out of his mind in the last 3 weeks. Not only have they survived without Paolo, dare I say, Trevor, they've sort of thrived right now, correct?
Yeah, Franz Wagner's been playing absolutely incredible. He's been playing. I think the nice thing was after that 5-game skid, their schedule lightened up tremendously. I mean, you got the Pelicans who have nobody healthy. You got the Wizards. So you had a chance to get right, essentially. You had some teams that would let you kind of figure things out, and the Magic did just that. And they've really locked in defensively. They have the third best defensive rating in the NBA right now. That is keeping them afloat, keeping them in games. And then Franz Wagner has been so phenomenal, helping them carry games across the finish line. So it's been impressive that they've managed to do this without Paolo Banchero, and they've got themselves now for whenever Paolo comes back, they've got themselves in prime position in the Eastern Conference to where maybe they even are a team that pushes towards turning the top two right now in the East, being Cleveland and Boston, into a true top three. But that is not outside of the range of outcomes here for the Orlando Magic, and that's really exciting given how down in the dumps it looked in Orlando just a few weeks ago.
Trevor Lane, NBA front office show here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. I know people refer to this as the Patrick Ewing effect, I believe, from back in the day. You play better when guys are injured because you have to play better. I guess the question, Trevor, is what happens when Wendell Carter and primarily Banchero come back, considering Wagner has been their main guy? What will be that dynamic when Paolo returns to the lineup?
Yeah, typically what you see is there are some bumps in the road, right? And it's not that you don't want those guys to come back. You absolutely do. Just when you're reintegrating somebody, particularly at the talent level of Paolo Banchero, it can be a little bit tumultuous. There can be a little bit of a reacclimation period. So that should be expected. It may take them, I'm not talking about a long period, but a few games to kind of get used to the rhythm and everything like that again. But long term, if they're going to hit their ceiling, they certainly need him out there. So I would expect things as they've kind of settled in without Paolo Banchero. There's going to be a reacclimation period when he does come back. But overall, for this team to get where they want to go and become one of those top-tier teams in the Eastern Conference, they need to get him back in action. So even if it is a little bit bumpy initially, I would imagine that'll smooth out pretty quick, and they'll be off and running.
Admittedly, I am an Orlando Magic fan. I mean, I'll break down Anthony Bowie and Dennis Scott and Nick Anderson from back in the day, right? I can go Greg Kite on you. So I am a diehard. So I might have the Magic goggles on here. But, man, are they deep, Trevor. I mean, you lose Wendell Carter. Well, you got Goga Bitadze and Mo Wagner, and they haven't missed a beat. Banchero's out. Well, Wagner's really stepped up. Coming off the bench with Jonathan Isaac and Anthony Black and Gary Harris. And we know about Jalen Suggs. I mean, De Silva, the rookie out of Colorado, has been good. Cole Anthony is having trouble finding minutes on this team right now. I mean, top to bottom, 1 to, 13 or 14. There's not a lot of deeper teams in the NBA, correct?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that's part of what allows them to defend with the tenacity that they do, is that you always have fresh legs that you can put on the floor that can produce. It's not guys where you're thinking, now we're in trouble because we have to put this guy in because our starter is hurt or our starter is tired or anything like that. You can turn to guys who can go out there and produce and continue to play at a similar level to what your starting group can. So it's a real advantage. Now, come playoff time, when rotations are cut down to, say, an 8-man rotation, I do see depth as a bit less of an advantage. But for the regular season, especially given the way the Magic defend, the tenacity that they defend with, it is, I'd say, not just a luxury to have, but I think it's a necessity to have, given the defensive pressure that they put on the ball.
A couple more for Trevor Lane of the NBA front office show. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Trevor, at the top of the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers have been there the entire year. Look, I don't know if they're as good as their record would indicate. I mean, what are they, 16-1 or something ridiculous? It's wild, their start. But clearly at this point, they have to be considered, at least right now, the best team in the NBA, do they not?
Yeah, I would, and the only reason why I hesitate is because of Boston. I mean, right now the Cavs they're 17-1. They have the best point differential in the NBA. But I just have, the Celtics are getting Porzingis back tonight. I just have this sense that Boston is kind of, maybe they're pushing it like an 80% pace right now, maybe 75. They're not really fully exerting themselves, while the Cavs, in the midst of that 15-0 start and everything that came with it, were they kind of firing on all cylinders? And then how long can they keep this up for? I believe this team. I was a big believer in them last season. That didn't work out, but it seems like this year things have clicked. I think they are certainly in that top two in the Eastern Conference, but I don't know if I would slot them ahead of the Celtics just yet, especially given that the Celtics did beat them head-to-head, but it was a close matchup. I hesitate to call them the clear best team in the NBA right now just because of the presence of Boston, but I do think the Cavs are very, very, very good. They're playing tremendous basketball. They're playing together. One of the things that I think is usually a mark of a very good team, it's when you consistently punish teams for their mistakes, and the Cavs are a team right now that is doing that. So I think the Cavs are fantastic, but they're kind of like a 1A, 1B in my book in the Eastern Conference right now with the Celtics.
Final question in the East before we go out west. It appears that Milwaukee and Miami have kind of found themselves a little bit. They stopped the bleeding, and they're starting to get some W's. That is not the case with Philadelphia. And, look, I know how banged up they are, but at a certain point, I don't care when Maxey, George, and Embiid come back. I mean, at a certain point, they're going to have lost enough ground where they're going to be in real trouble even when they're healthy, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's the concern. Now, fortunately, they are in the East. So the Eastern Conference, it's pretty forgiving, right? You can certainly you look at Milwaukee. They're already, they won a few games. They won 4 games, and surprise, you're the 6th seed now. You were at the bottom of the conference. You win a few games, and you're the 6th seed because that's kind of the state of the Eastern Conference right now. But for the 76ers, yeah, I mean, we are 16 games into the season, and only the Washington Wizards have a worse record than they do in the entire NBA. They need their guys back. This is a team that is built to play with 3 stars, and if they don't have those 3 stars, it's going to be a problem for them. So the fact that they're in the East makes it a little bit easier, I think, for them to battle back. And so I certainly wouldn't be counting them out. But if this goes on too much longer, there's the worry is going to have to ramp up there in Philly.
Out west, Oklahoma City is doing very well, although they lost Chet Holmgren. He's one of the injuries we talked about. They are getting Hartenstein back, the big free agent acquisition from New York. Are the Thunder the class of the West right now?
Yeah, they're knotted right now with the Warriors at 12-4 at the top of the conference. But I do think the Thunder have the highest upside, particularly once they get guys back and healthy. Once you get Chet Holmgren back, I have them there at the beginning of the season. I think they are the most talented team in the conference. I think the way they play is very, very difficult. I've been impressed with the way that they have managed having not just Chet Holmgren out, but all of their centers were out. They had to play small ball. And again, Hartenstein is now back in action. But the way they kind of were able to tread water during that time was impressive. So I do have the Thunder as the best team in the conference. I think if everybody's healthy, they are the clear-cut number 1. But the Warriors have been really, really impressive this season, particularly with the way they've been playing defensively. And so they are a very worthy addition right there behind them. But OKC has to be, in my book, the favorites right now to come out of the Western Conference.
I mean, you look at Phoenix, they've been without Brad Beal and Kevin Durant. Minnesota traded Karl Anthony Towns. That does not appear to be bearing fruit. They're 500, I believe. And the Lakers were cooking with gas until Franz Wagner hit that drop back 3, and they lose to Orlando last week, and then they get absolutely obliterated by Denver. So what's the thought with the Lakers 16 games in?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team right now where you can get some really strong performances out of them. They can look good, but they've also been, they're one of many teams that have been incredibly injured this season. They're missing a number of players, and so that's been a real challenge. That team, unlike Orlando, they do not have depth. They have too many guys that are not playing at an NBA level right now. And so they've really struggled with missing the guys that have been out for them. Their rotation players, guys like Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes, not world beaters certainly, but guys who would at least be expected to come in and play at an NBA level, and they haven't had enough of those guys. So it's been an up and down season for the Lakers overall. I think some positives, but they as we knew going into the season, they are probably a couple of moves, particularly in the West. They're a couple of moves away from actually being a threat in the Western Conference. But as you said, the Suns, they're getting Kevin Durant back, Bradley Beal back. That's going to happen tomorrow. When they had them, they were really good. They've lost their last 5, though, so that's caused a slide. But I do think the Suns are going to be really good. The bottom line is you've got, 11, 12 teams in the West that, aside from right now OKC and Golden State that have kind of separated themselves at the top, and perhaps Houston, you've got 11 or 12 teams that are all very similar in terms of overall quality, and organizing them or ordering them is going to be tough. And that's going to create a very, very exciting season, I think, all the way through in the Western Conference, with a lot of these teams kind of fighting and scrapping all the way to try to get into playoff positioning.
Trevor Lane, the host of the NBA Front Office Show. Trevor, final question. We're roughly 18, 19 games in for a lot of these teams. We're almost at the quarter pole of the season. Has the sample size been enough for you to say, all right, this team is probably who we thought they were, this team is underachieving a little bit, or because of all the injuries, is it more up in the air still, only 20 games in?
I'm sorry, you cut out at the beginning of your question there.
Yeah, 20 games into the year, are you at the point, have you seen enough of a sample size to say, all right, this team is who I thought they were, or maybe this team is worse than I thought they were, or because of all the injuries, are we still too early?
Got it. Yes. So I think that the injuries are a big factor. So it depends on the team, right? It depends on the team right now. So when you're looking at, for example, the Philadelphia 76ers, they're an extreme one. The New Orleans Pelicans, we know that they're better than what they've seen. How much better, that is yet to be determined. On the other hand, when we're looking at some of these other clubs, Golden State, for example, so there are 16 games in, and we've seen what they can be and how good they've been. I think you can buy it more because, and they haven't been injury free, but I think we've got a better sense of what they ultimately are going to look like. So it's easier to buy that they are kind of what we've seen so far. These teams that have been incredibly injured, though, I throw Memphis into the mix too, where I think they actually have a higher ceiling than what we've seen. They've been without Ja Morant for a while here. Desmond Bane was injured. They suffered a number of injuries. There's a number of teams that I think you can say, well, we don't really know what they are just yet because of the injuries, whereas there's a few that have stayed relatively healthy where we could say this is for real. So it really depends on the team and how bad they've been hit by injuries so far this season.
Trevor, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the NBA Front Office Show, also your work with Lakers Nation, and where they can find your NBA coverage.
Sure, yeah. You can find all of my Lakers talk over at LakersNation.com and the Lakers Nation YouTube channel. And then for the NBA Front Office Show, where Keith Smith and I covered the entire NBA, that's over on the Front Office Show YouTube channel, as well as the podcast feed, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts.
He's one of our favorites when it comes to talking NBA. Trevor Lane, the host of the NBA Front Office Show. Trevor, have a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. We always appreciate you. We'll talk again soon, my friend.
Hey, same to you. Thank you for having me on.
Who brought the house to their feet?
Listen to this place.
Universal Roofing Contracting presents the Offensive Player of the Game.
Wide open and just what they needed.
Experience the universal difference on 1010XL.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
When you head out for a night with friends or going to the big game, don't forget the best game plan to win the night is to designate a driver and guarantee a safe ride home. Hydrating between buds is the best play you can make. Bud Light, reminding all to drink wiser.
The holidays are just around the corner, and so is your entire family.
Babe, the toilet's growling at me again.
Uh-oh, the kitchen sink just turned into Old Faithful. There's no hot water!
Don't let plumbing chaos steal your holiday cheer. Call Duck Duck Rooter today to fix those issues before Aunt Linda blames you for ruining Christmas dinner. Duck Duck Rooter, your local plumbing pros. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Tony Baselli gets up early Monday morning to share a big football breakfast with you.
Some French toast and sausage patties.
Hall of Fame Monday, 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the Drill. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida on 1010XL.
Prosser here for Lifetime Flooring. You've heard us rave about Lifetime Enclosures. Now let's talk about Lifetime Flooring. I can tell you firsthand, the product, services, best in Jacksonville. As you know, updating your floors is one of the most dramatic changes you can make to your home. Call the experts at Lifetime Flooring now and ask about their buy one room, get one room free promotion through Christmas. 0% financing, available to meet any budget. Visit their beautiful showroom just off Phillips Highway. And as always, tell them Prosser sent you.
Nick in here for the Borland Groover Foundation. If you're 45 or older, you need to get screened for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about getting a colonoscopy. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. Borland Groover recently expanded into St. Johns County. The new and advanced surgery center and medical office is open in Durbin Crossing. Visit BorlandGroover.com for a location near you. Remember, 45 is the new 50. Get screened today with Borland Groover.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
Nick in here with a message from Zero Res. You gotta just love this time of the year as we reflect on the things that matter most. Families, homes, the holidays, and of course football. They're very grateful for you all, the good people of Jacksonville, and they want to thank you. So get ready for the holidays. Book today, and Zero Res will clean your carpets for only $49 a room. Plus, they'll give you 25% off your tile cleaning. This one fills up fast, so book now on both carpet and tile. Zero Res, fill it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Frank Franzi here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Nick in here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Here's a special message from our president.
Thanks, David. This is Jordan Harrington, president of Royal Pest Services. We'd like to thank everyone who has trusted Royal Pest for their pest control needs this year. Wishing all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the Royal Pest family.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Rivalry week is here. Boy, there are some bitter rivalries, some important games all over the world of college football. It should be a very exciting Friday and Saturday, including the big one in Tallahassee between Florida and Florida State. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, this is one of the biggest weeks, obviously, of the year, and when we see this on an annual basis, where a lot of these rivalries are a lot closer than people realize, and the reason for that is the underdog finally has, have a reason to be motivated. And I think, heck, more than anything else, they're just focused. And that's why you see a lot of these rivalry games go to the fourth quarter because of that. So, frankly, when they say anything can happen during rivalry week, that is truly why. And it would be fascinating to see. And it begins from on Friday and extends to Saturday, obviously.
And look, with Florida State, there's some disdain there. There's some bitterness there. There's some good old-fashioned dislike there, which makes it even more interesting. Brent, you and I have known each other for over 22 years, and you've been covering the sport even longer than that, certainly. I can't remember in my lifetime a resurgence like we've seen from a head coach that was a dead man walking in Gainesville with Billy Napier. 7-8 weeks ago, he was done. I mean, Gator fans were done with him. After that loss to A&M and even the win over Mississippi State, people were unhappy because Mississippi State had a bunch of yards and people were done. And now here we are, wins over LSU and Ole Miss, and now he's cooking on the recruiting trail. I mean, he's Michael Myers, man. He's Jason Voorhees. He's gotten up off the mat. It's amazing what Billy Napier has done in Gainesville. Have you seen anything like this in this short amount of time?
No, it's very rare. I know Eli drank with at Missouri a few years ago. They were ready to run him out the door and ended up giving him an extension and a raise, and he basically could kind of turn the program around. I mean, they're not great, but no, as far as the Napier situation, it's just amazing. And I think on several levels. One is they keep losing players, unfortunately, like Aaron Gates, who got hurt early, and whoever comes in plays well. I mean, they have, and again, I was in the gym earlier today, and there were a couple of Gator fans. When I was walking in the door, they were high-fiving each other over the way the season was going, and both those guys in September wanted him gone. So there's certainly a lot of that going around. DJ Lagway, obviously, quarterbacks changed a lot of this and given them a lot of hope. So, but again, I mean, it's a broken record, but it's true. Gator fans wanted to see progress in November, and that's exactly what they've got.
And I'll give Billy just a ton of credit because, look, it would have been easy for him to be sort of bitter, right? I mean, everybody had turned on him. The fans had turned on him. The media had turned on him. And instead of, I told you so type attitude, Billy has been very complimentary of the fan base, talked about the atmosphere in the swamp and how the fans did their part to help them win. And that post-game interview he did on the field where he was almost getting choked up talking about his players overcoming all the adversity. It is just really hard, Brent, not to really like this guy.
Yeah. Well, the thing he's done probably as good as anything else, they have kept that locker room together when it could have splintered in all kinds of ways. And guys could have transferred out, et cetera. But he and that coaching staff have really done a remarkable situation in getting those guys to continue to play hard. And look, without being too revisionist history here, I mean, we're talking about Lagway really being able to play maybe and get a win against Tennessee in the game they could have won, and certainly the Georgia game they could have won, and that's one of those situations too, Ryan. Right now, we'd be having this is a great conversation, but it would be a life-changing conversation if they had won those two games.
It would be. There's no doubt. You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Before we preview the game, let's go quick here, Brent, but it's certainly worth noting. Florida keeps flipping guys on the recruiting trail. They flipped another one today, and Byron Lewis, the running back from South Florida, they flipped 3 Florida State guys from that FSU class to Florida's class in the last week and a half. They flipped an additional 4 in that same time frame. We're talking 7 flips to the Gators in the last 2 weeks. I mean, Billy's cooking right now on the trail.
Yeah, from Florida State, USC, Arizona, Cincinnati, and Georgia. Now, they were, I think, 51 in the recruiting rankings, and I believe it rivals in on 3, but the numbers are similar. Now they're in the 20s, which is amazing, and we've got just a few days before National Signing Day, but they really have. That's what has really changed. Now, I still think he needs to bring in an offensive coordinator and a special teams coordinator, but that's for postseason. Right now, they are as hot on the recruiting trail and on the field as anybody.
Brent, I'm telling Gator fans, anyone that's willing to listen to me, be careful on Saturday night. Look, I've been in that stadium in Tallahassee at night. I don't care how bad Florida State is. You brought it up at the top, the rivalry aspect in Doak Campbell at night. This is their Super Bowl. There is no tomorrow for them. Their season is over after Saturday night, win or lose. I think Norvell and that staff are going to throw the kitchen sink, man. If there's anything in that playbook that they haven't done, there's no point in saving it for 8 months. Throw it at Florida. I hear Gator fans saying, oh, this will be easy, the worst Florida State team in my lifetime. All right, just pump the brakes a little bit. I think Florida State's going to play their best game of the year.
No doubt. They will be focused for one of the few times of the year, and these players may be actually motivated for one of the few times this year. Now, Florida State's given up over 35 points to SMU, Miami, North Carolina, and Notre Dame, and all 4 of them ran for over 200 yards. So that's something that the Florida needs to take advantage of. Luke Cromenhawk is the starter, and I understand he's the sole starter. There is no one else. I'm not sure what they will do if he gets hurt, but I think that's smart to let him play. Now, real quick, just some names for the coordinator positions. This has been talked about a decent amount. Chip Long, who is with Southern Miss. Also, Brennan Marion is a guy from UNLV who's had a really good year. Joe Craddock from Tulane. And also the defense coordinator, Scott Simons of SMU. So those guys have had good years. We'll get into that more later, but just wanted to throw some names out to our listeners.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, final thought on Florida State, because I want to end with the playoff and the SEC and the mess that could potentially become. Florida's earned so much goodwill with these wins over LSU and Ole Miss. If it continues against Florida State, what an end to the year. If they lose to Florida State, though, that's going to hurt, man. That's going to sting, particularly because a lot of Gator fans that I know say this is the worst Florida State team they've ever seen. So this is a big game still for Billy on Saturday night.
There's no question. You want to beat your rival. It's for recruiting and for the momentum. And look, the other reality is for them is you get a win here, and you're talking about maybe a bowl game in the pecking order that's one more level than where you normally would be now. I personally hope they come to Jacksonville in the Gator Bowl, but if they win this game, who knows where they're looking at. But hopefully they will stay in the state of Florida. But that's a really good point. You don't want to wipe out the goodwill that you've got. And look, Hank, you and I both know if somehow they were to lose to Florida State, that there would be a certain amount of fans off the bandwagon again.
Absolute madness happened last week. We talked about it, right? It wasn't the greatest on paper schedule, yet those weekends usually provide the most drama, seemingly. And Ole Miss goes down, Alabama goes down, my gracious, A&M loses. So now, in relation to the playoff, Brent, and the SEC, I guess the simplest thing would be for Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee to all win. And if Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee all win, then those are probably the 3 that are going regardless of what happens in the SEC championship game. What would be wild is if Vandy were to beat Tennessee or Georgia Tech were to beat Georgia or A&M were to beat Texas, and then who knows what happens, and who knows if that brings either Alabama or Ole Miss back into the equation.
Or South Carolina.
Yeah.
Now, if South Carolina beat Clemson, that would be something to behold. But now the reality would be, you probably, if all three win, Alabama, South Carolina, and Ole Miss, you would have these teams with 3 losses. Now, everybody basically thinks Ole Miss is done with, and that was a soul-crushing loss for them, as a Ole Miss media friend texted me. But see, what we don't know is how deep is this committee going to go with the SEC and with and particularly with the Big Ten. You've got Notre Dame that is involved with this. You still got Ohio State. You've got Indiana. You've got Penn State involved. The ACC is fascinating too. I mean, you've got Miami here. SMU is involved with this. Clemson could be involved with this. Now, ESPN did an analytics thing on Monday, and that analytics, the number said, get this now, and remind me of what we talked about in the preseason, 24 teams somehow still had even a slim chance to get into the playoffs. Hank, tell me that wasn't what TV and the commissioners wanted when they come up with this expanded playoff.
And there's no question. It makes more competition, makes for better games late in the year. Absolutely. The Ole Miss Florida game last year would have just been a footnote. Nice win for Florida. But now it's devastating for Ole Miss because they're out of the playoff more than likely. All right, craziest scenario imaginable, other than, I guess, A&M winning the next 2 games, which I don't even want to think about that. If A&M were to beat Texas and then beat Georgia, then they go to the playoff, and who knows what happens. If Georgia loses the SEC championship game, and that's their 3rd loss, and Alabama beats Auburn to finish 9-3, well, Alabama beat Georgia head-to-head. So if both teams have 3 losses, would Alabama have an argument?
Well, they might. Again, the thing, and the question you've raised is a question that we entertained all week last week, is does the loser of the SEC title game still go? So that, and look, the loser has got an argument, frankly, because, I mean, your goal is to get to the SEC championship game. They did that. Should they be penalized for getting to the SEC championship game? Now, I'll say this real quick, but for both Georgia and Alabama, in particular Alabama with this one, because Georgia looks like they're going to be in regardless, I still think, is for both those teams, when they play, you've got 10 to 13 million people who watch them. And don't think for a minute, I'm not saying that TV is going to tell this committee what to do, but you better believe that TV is going to whisper, if you've got one of these teams that brings in that many people on television to watch, that they very well will be a factor until the end.
And Brent, we got to go quick here, but again, I don't think a team should be penalized for playing in the SEC championship game. But we don't know that. That's not in the bylaws, right? So
that's right. If
Georgia loses, let's say they play Texas and they lose to Texas, and that gets Georgia 3 losses and they finish 10-3. Well, I think they would probably still go, but Alabama would have the same number of losses plus a head-to-head win over Georgia.
You're right. That's right.
So that would be just a crazy scenario that we don't have clarity on what the committee would do at that point.
Well, and look, what you're saying is probably why when all these commissioners get together at some point in January and afterwards, that we will get a press release that says the playoffs have been extended from 12 to either 14 or 16. Can't you see that coming starting in 26? We have 12 this year, have 12 next year. But the exact scenario you're talking about is why I believe it will be extended sooner than later.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. All right, Brent, we got 90 seconds. Leave us with this. Rivalry weekend. Do you see any potential upsets in the making that could shake off the playoff picture?
Well, I mean, the way Auburn's playing right now, even in Tuscaloosa, if Bama doesn't match their intensity, that could certainly be an issue for them. I don't think there's any way State would beat Ole Miss unless Ole Miss just, frankly, doesn't want to play. I don't see Florida beating Florida State. Florida State beating Florida. Kentucky and Louisville. Could Kentucky get it together and beat Louisville? I think that might be a possibility with that too.
What about Vanderbilt?
Well, Vanderbilt, Diego could have one more in him, and Vanderbilt could 3 and 4 yard Tennessee to death and be able to have these 15-play drives, frankly. And then South Carolina at Clemson. I don't know if whoever wins that game, that necessarily would be an upset. I mean, Clemson, the game being at home, is going to be favored at least by a little bit, but I could certainly see that happening probably as much as any game that we've talked about.
I think Miami needs to be careful, too. That dome up in Syracuse isn't a bad football team. That'll be an interesting one as well. No question. Point. You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, a very happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Enjoy the time, and we'll do it again next week to preview Championship Saturday.
Well, maybe we'll have a little more clarity next week, or maybe we won't. We'll see. Happy Thanksgiving to all our listeners.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark as we're getting ready for rivalry weekend. And wouldn't it not surprise any of us to have a little chaos on rivalry weekend in a college football season that has seen numerous top teams fall every single week? It would almost be fitting to have some unexpected things happen the final week of the regular season that, of course, heads in to Championship Saturday. So we certainly talked a lot of college football, talked a lot of Florida State, spent a fair amount of time on the Jaguars as well as they get ready for the Houston Texans coming up on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear that game right here on 1010XL as the Jaguars are 2-9, playing a Houston team that is probably disappointing for what they thought they were going to be. They're 7-5 and kind of limping coming in here to Jacksonville after last week's home loss to the Tennessee Titans. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very busy Tuesday night edition here of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Brent Beard talking college football with us. You see him on First Coast News, and you get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show for stopping by as we're already over a month in to the NBA season. How about the Orlando Magic? Despite all the injuries with the Magic, they're 12-7. They're third in the Eastern Conference right now, and they haven't had Paolo Banchero for the last 4 weeks, and they're still 5 games above 500, off to a great start down there in Orlando. Thank you to the truth teller, Rick Ballou, for talking a little Florida State with us as the Seminoles get ready for the Gators coming into Tallahassee on Saturday night. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every week right here on Hacker After Dark. We will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Tuesday night, and we will talk to you again tomorrow on a Wednesday beginning